Hey again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Wheel of Albums. Along with my brother Adam and our friend Jack, I am Justin. What we do here on Wheel of Albums is we spin a wheel, the 1001 albums you must hear before you die, from Robert Dimery's book, 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. This week, the wheel was spun by Jack. 2 in a row because we skipped them at some point in there. And Jack spun Peter Gabriel's 1986 breakthrough album, So. Adam, how'd you feel about this one?
My initial reaction to So by Peter Gabriel when we found out we were listening to this was, so what? Not to say that I don't like it, not the album I think of going to when it comes to Peter Gabriel.
My initial reaction was, all right, we finally got an album from the 80s, all right.
Waiting all season too long for you.
And then after that, I had this on cassette, probably a Columbia House purchase from 12 cassettes for a penny back in the day. And at some point, I got the CD as well. But here's the thing. I don't particularly love this album. I never have loved So. There's something about it that always feels like it's a chore to listen to. A chore maybe like painting the mailbox. I mean, that can be fulfilling. Jack, how'd you feel?
I was looking forward to this. I spun it, and I have it, and I'm familiar with it, and I like Peter Gabriel. I was going to get down and listen to some Peter Gabriel and some Kate Bush. Hello.
Peter Gabriel was so notorious for not finishing lyrics, and the record company wanted him to finish this album. Producer of the album had to nail the studio door shut, Gabriel inside, to get him to stop procrastinating and finish the lyrics. Evidently it worked.
I wonder if that was the inspiration behind the title Sledgehammer, Get it? To get out of that studio door. Speaking of Sledgehammer, it's obviously the catalyst to making So such a blockbuster hit back in 1986, particularly thanks to MTV and the play of its innovative video for Sledgehammer. How much do you guys think Peter Gabriel owes MTV for Sledgehammer becoming such the smash that it was?
The video had a lot going on. It drew your attention to it. MTV was still pushing artists, and you could find more music on MTV than necessarily on your radio. I liked the visuals of it. There was a lot of claymation, a lot of stuff going on, but it didn't really strike me as necessarily a Peter Gabriel song. And it's probably, out of all the songs on the album, I would say is aged the poorest.
I just went back and watched all of Peter Gabriel's videos from the 80s, well, at least 3 of them. I watched Sledgehammer and Big Time and Red Rain. Sledgehammer by far probably, you watch that, like, man, were they actually putting anything else out like that? Between that and, the iconic In Your Eyes John Cusack scene with the boombox over his head and Say Anything, you could see where the 80s and or the mid-80s and Gabriel are kind of synonymous with each other. If you didn't know any better, you would think that Peter Gabriel was a one-album wonder from the 80s with this giant one big album. If you didn't know, that he was in Genesis before he became the superstar, and he had a string of other albums that were really good too.
If you go into So thinking about Big Time and Sledgehammer, you could be very fooled into thinking that the whole album has that big 80s atmosphere. It doesn't. It's a very somber and meditative affair. The other 7 songs on here, they sometimes work, and other times they feel like cast-offs. Take a look at This Is the Picture, for instance. That just feels like it's a watered-down Games Without Frontiers to me. We Do What We're Told and Mercy Street also don't exactly bring up the ante for me either. But a few of the songs on here I do like Red Rain and Don't Give Up, are just enough to remind me of how much I do like Gabriel's catalog overall. But in hindsight, listening to Big Time reminds me more of Oh Yeah from Yellow than it does a Peter Gabriel song, and that's not a great thing.
I liked where Peter Gabriel was building. I really liked Shock the Monkey. When Shock the Monkey was a hit, that made Peter Gabriel's old albums become part of the Super Saver series, where you could get the cassettes for like $4.99 each. So I loaded up, and I had Peter Gabriel 1, 2, and 3. And then Security, he did the soundtrack to a movie called Birdie, where he just took away the vocals from some of the songs from the earlier records, like Family Snapshot and some other songs. So I prefer the work leading up to it and songs on this, and then his album that he put out last year or 2 years ago. I think it was called I.O. or something like that. That's actually it's a great album.
To me, it kind of feels like he's on the downside of the pinnacle of his career on this one. And it feels like, he was shooting for that massive success. And I kind of think of it as like Hysteria by Def Leppard or the Black Album by Metallica. And I kind of put this album on like 3 tiers with the songs. There are fantastic songs that you have to hear. There's okay songs, and then there's just some that are not great that you just want to end. Like Red Rain, In Your Eyes, of course, Sledgehammer, and I love Big Time. Those big singles were good, but the rest of the album I could really do without.
Kate Bush guest appears on Don't Give Up.
And in my humble opinion, she brings some sort of humility and humanity to that song that I can't describe in a Kate Bush way.
And does a wonderful job.
I like the message of it. I could understand why people really liked this song. I think Peter Gabriel used Kate Bush to his advantage to shoot this song higher on the charts in the UK. The prompt here is, who would you bring in to re-record this?
She got a bad case of babushka.
And from what I read, it looks like Dolly Parton was asked to do this song first, and she declined. And I think hearing Dolly Parton's version with Dolly Parton would make this more intriguing to me.
Peter Gabriel really is kind of the male counterpart of Kate Bush. If you consider some of the experimentation he does, some of the tricks with his voice that he does, but she doesn't travel, so she was never going to be as big as Peter Gabriel. In 1986, who would be Kate Bush's understudy? I've got 2 names. Pat Benatar, who had did a beautiful cover of Wuthering Heights. I would have invited Pat over if Kate had the sniffles. And then my other one could really knock it out of the park today, and that would be Cyndi Lauper.
That was my pick too, Jack. I think of Cyndi Lauper, True Colors, and I think of a modest humility that she brings to songs like that, and I think that would work really well on Don't Give Up.
Cyndi, if she was doing her True Colors voice, maybe, that could be a nice duet, and I wouldn't mind hearing it. Maybe they've crossed paths since the 80s with each other and have done something.
And now for Professor Adams' best fact of the podcast.
One more interesting fact about the song Don't Give Up. They were trying to find like a muted vibe to this, which is why it might feel a little disjointed to me, but read that the bassist, where he's trying to find this muted sound, used his 2-year-old baby daughter's diaper between the strings, so it muted the sound of it. Boy, I kind of hope it was a clean diaper.
Apparently, Peter Gabriel became obsessed with the track listing, wanted each song to flow into the next song, and would just listen to the end and beginnings of every song to see which fit nicely together. Starting it with Red Rain and ending it with In Your Eyes, really the right thing to do because they complement each other incredibly.
Growing up, the cassette version had In Your Eyes as the first song on the second side when you flipped it over. Younger, impatient Justin would listen to In Your Eyes and not really bother with the rest. Having it at the end of the album, I think, works wonderfully because it gives you something to look forward to. Because In Your Eyes is the best song on there.
I kind of find we do what we're told, and this is the picture to just be kind of filler to fill out the album. Putting In Your Eyes there at the end is the smart move, and it makes again, Red Rain and In Your Eyes a great bookend, 1-2 punch at the beginning and the end to end the album.
All right, we take all the songs on So, give them a rating from 1 to 10, and then divide that by the album track number, which is 9. Adam with the highest rating was 7.055. Jack came in next with the 6.76 out of 6.38 for an overall rating of 6.73. Our favorite songs included In Your Eyes, Sledgehammer, and Red Rain. This Is the Picture was our least favorite song. Hey, give it up to Jack for almost having a 10-point song for a change.
Must you hear So by Peter Gabriel before you die? Quick answer, yes. Easy one for me. This was going to be a yes all the way. Peter Gabriel's first 5 albums would all be yeses from me. How beautiful and how much effort and work he puts into the sounds of the songs. I'm going to give In Your Eyes my highest rating of a single song ever because it is fantastic. So again, I recommend.
This one's a little bit more difficult for me to give a yes or no, Jack. I still think that my favorite Peter Gabriel comes before this. I enjoy Security in Peter Gabriel 3. There is enough stuff on So, and for some reason I keep getting it, probably because In Your Eyes is such a great song. And I'm going to say, even though, like I said, it can be a chore to listen to, and I don't usually reach out for it, that I think it is something you should probably hear before you die. Seeing where Peter Gabriel made the turn point into commercial stardom is something that's worth checking out. Not a huge yes for me, a faint yes. Adam, what do you think?
The answer to that is yes. I think there's a huge appeal to hear the major hits on this album, and that's what carries it through. There's only 9 tracks. 4 or 5 of them were giant hits, so need to hear it. But if you like So, then you got to go check out, my personal favorite is Peter Gabriel 3, Melt. That album, to me, is fantastic. That's the one I'm going to. But yeah, So is definitely one of those massive albums from the 80s that you need to check out.
All right, so 3 yays for the blockbuster from Peter Gabriel. So we'll see if there's another Peter Gabriel maybe on the wheels sometime down the road. That's 40 albums down, and we're going to keep this truck is going to keep on trucking down the highway, man, eastbound and down. It's my turn to spin the wheel for album number 41. Let's go. And the wheel is spinning around and round. And oh my gosh, we're staying in 1986. The wheel wants us to get out spandex and some hairspray and Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet on the next Wheel of Albums. Hey, if you like Wheel of Albums, we'd love if you subscribed on YouTube or you followed along on Spotify. Give us a comment and a like, and we'd love to hear what you think as we go along with the Wheel of 1001 Albums from Robert Dimery's book, 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. For Adam and Jack, I am Justin. Have yourself a great week. We'll see you with Bon Jovi next week. Bye-bye.